Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new edition of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have Legion M co-founder Jeff Annison. We'll be talking about the brand new William Shatner documentary, You Can Call Me Bill, bunch of the other projects they've got coming out as well, like Nandor Fodor, and we'll also be reviewing Roadhouse and Ghostbusters with Janelle Brimer. All that and more, stand by. We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. And for those of you driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you. We appreciate you finding us. If you're streaming us on the app or on the KTRS website, we appreciate you finding us there. No video tonight. My executive producer, Joey V, is on a cruise, so no video. So for those of you finding us on Facebook and YouTube, I apologize. We'll be back with video next week. But obviously, if you're listening to us after the fact in the podcast form, we do appreciate you tuning in there and subscribing. Hopefully, you've left us a nice 5-star review by now. That always helps us out with search engine optimization. Very excited to talk to my next guest, who was one of my first guests when I launched this radio show back in 2016. Legion M co-founder Jeff Annison. I've been a first-round investor in the company when it first came out, and I've oddly, because I'm superstitious, I've only invested in the odd rounds ever since then, but I don't think Jeff's going to hold that against me. Jeff, how are you?
I never hold the fact that you're an odd person against me.
I appreciate that. It's so exciting. You know, as I said, you guys launched about the same year that I launched my radio show, 2016, and I saw this and I was like, gosh, I have to invest. And then I've had both you and Paul on the show occasionally talking about the different milestones, and to see how this company has grown has just been absolutely incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. I didn't realize that we have this parallel path going, but I think it's wonderful. And you're right. We're at a really exciting time for Legion M right now, especially with the release of our William Shatner doc, and my dead friend Zoe just premiered at South by Southwest. It's an exciting trajectory.
And I'm not sure if partner is the right word, but I think you're working with GalaxyCon because you had some of these red carpet premieres at a couple of the most recent GalaxyCon events. How's that gone?
Oh, it's been fantastic. We love the team over at GalaxyCon. So when it came time to premiere this our new William Shatner documentary called William Shatner, You Can Call Me Bill. What we had this idea for what we called a rolling red carpet tour. And the whole idea was that we wanted to take the sort of red carpet premiere experience that normally only happens in Hollywood, and we wanted to take it on the road. And the very first stop this year of the rolling red carpet tour was Richmond, Virginia, for an event that we did in conjunction with GalaxyCon. And it was wonderful. It was we did it at the Byrd Theater, which is this historic 100-year-old grand movie palace. And, we had a red carpet outside, and we had William Shatner, and we screened the film and then had a wonderful Q&A with William Shatner and Mark Altman outside. And again, it was wonderful to work with the GalaxyCon team and to really fulfill that vision of trying to take what we're doing to places that it wouldn't normally get.
I just saw William Shatner last year at Planet Comic Con, and I hope I'm doing as well as he is when I'm 93. I'm just going to say that much.
Oh my God! I hope I'm doing as good as he is when I'm 73. He's incredible, and the guy has such a work ethic. He works harder than just about anybody that I know. He runs longer and harder, and I mean, it's just incredible. It's absolutely astounding, and it's a real inspiration, I think, to all of us.
And he was, like many people, I know you've got, when we talk about people who invest in Legion M, it's not just little guys like me. William Shatner is an investor. Kevin Smith is an investor. And they kind of bring these projects, because I know a couple years back, I hosted here in St. Louis a meetup for the Kevin Smith Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie. But you guys are doing something similar with that with this particular documentary as well.
Yeah, so we, like I said, we decided we wanted to take the premiere on the road, and our first stop was Richmond, Virginia. Then a couple days later, we did Alice Tully Hall in the Lincoln Center in New York City. It's an amazing performing arts venue. It's where the New York Philharmonic plays. And again, it's over 1,000-person venue, and we just about packed it.
Wow!
Had a wonderful red carpet premiere, followed by a Q&A with William Shatner and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Then we came out west, and we had a special advanced screening of the movie that was happening live in Playa Vista, California, but we were simulcasting to over 350 theaters across the country. And so, again, it's kind of like we wanted to bring this red carpet experience everywhere that we could. And we knew that we couldn't bring it everywhere. So we did this live simulcast so that it was playing at a theater near you, and you could see a Q&A after, a live Q&A that was simulcast with William Shatner, and we had a QR code where people could text in their questions and get them answered live, no matter where you were watching. And so, and then we had just on Thursday night, we had a huge party in Culver City where we had a screening of the film, and then we walked across the street to Culver Studios, which is the very same place that William Shatner recorded the pilot of Star Trek back in 1965.
Oh, wow.
And had just a amazing blowout experience. And so we've got one more stop. We're going to be in Bloomington, Indiana on April 8th there's a total solar eclipse that is going right over Bloomington. And Bill's coming out to speak. They're doing this huge event at the Indiana University football stadium. And William Shatner will be the one who is speaking as the eclipse. Ladies and gentlemen, the eclipse. So he is the warm-up act for the universe, as he says. And so, and then we're doing a screening of the film later that night. So it's all just part of the whole Legion M mission of we want to open the gates of Hollywood, and we want to democratize this and create opportunities for people that, you can invest as little as $40 to be a part of Legion M, and we're trying to do everything we can to open the gates to let people in.
And it is such a community thing between the private Facebook group with you guys and you get notifications of, hey, we're working on this project, and the fans can get involved. I think the last time I saw you was at the big Stan Lee party when he had his imprint ceremony outside the Chinese Theater. I flew out to L.A. for that because that's an event you don't want to miss. But it's so cool that the fans can get so involved in these big things. I'm old enough to remember when you guys released Colossal with Anne Hathaway, and now you're doing The Man in the White Van. You're doing Mandy, which with Nicolas Cage. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's, we've really grown. And when we started this back in 2016, much like, I'm sure when you started the show, it's just an idea. And you've got no idea if it's going to work. And you've got, it's really hard to break into something like this. Hollywood is a really capital-intensive industry. And so when we started, we had no money. We had, just this idea of like, hey, we think that we can do something amazing. And since then, we've grown. Colossal was our very first project that we got involved with, and we got involved in a very small way in that project. Mm-hmm. It was after the movie was already done, and Neon, who was a brand new company at the time too, a distributor, and they've gone on to do amazing things, but they bought the rights to it at the Toronto International Film Festival and asked us if we wanted to kind of come along with them. And so we invested a very small amount of money into the movie just for an opportunity to, it's kind of, getting your foot in the door. And we wanted to show people what Legion M was about, because back then we're raising money and half the people are like, oh my God, you've only raised $1 million. You're never going to be able to make a dent in Hollywood for $1 million. Like maybe you'll be able to make micro budget horror movies or fan films and that sort of stuff. And we're like, no. We want to do real movies with real actors like Jason Sudeikis and Anne Hathaway and Dan Stevens. And that movie was really important for us. But if you flash forward now 6-7 years, this William Shatner doc was entirely financed by Legion M. We financed, we completely produced it, we own that movie outright. And we just released it in theaters. This is the first film that we've actually done a theatrical release that we, are responsible for, booking theaters around the country. And then we've got another one, My Dead Friend Zoe, which, again, that one was entirely produced by Legion M and is financed mostly by fans. It's about 2/3 fans and about 1/3 professional investors, including Travis Kelce, of all people.
Oh, wow.
And anyway, so we've just leveled up to this place, and it's like you said, it's exciting. It's exciting for us to see how far we've come, and where if we can keep this up, if we can keep the momentum up, we're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, and you mentioned My Dead Friend Zoe. It's Sonequa Martin Green, Ed Harris. So again, you've got these quality people that you're bringing in. 2016, like you said, when you started with no money, did you, in your wildest dreams, obviously we always hope that what we're doing, we always hope for the best, brace for the worst. Did you think you'd be working with people like Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, Sonequa Martin Green, all these people like that?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think that this company has worked out better than our wildest dreams. When you're an entrepreneur, and this is Paul and I, my co-founder Paul, and I are serial entrepreneurs. So this is the third company that we've done, and so you always know that there's this element of risk and there's this element of reward. And when we came into this, we weren't coming as Hollywood insiders, right? We had entertainment experience from one of our previous companies, which was Moby TV. And what we really had, which I think is the really relevant experience, was what it's like to do disruptive things. And, our first company, we were the first ones to launch live television on a cell phone back in 2013. And it was, at the time, an extremely disruptive product. And it was one of those products where a lot of people were like, oh, my God, this will never work. Like, nobody's ever going to watch a movie on a cell phone. I mean, what are you talking about? This was back when cell phones were just used for, talking. And so we brought that sort of experience, and we saw this once in a lifetime opportunity with these new laws that had passed that enabled, this idea of allowing fans to invest as little as $40 to kind of be a part of something. And, we said, oh my gosh, like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. These are changing laws that have been on the books since the Great Depression. And, we think that we got to take a shot, and we did. And so, now to be where we are today, where, we hired Morgan Freeman in our last movie, My Dead Friend Zoe. And, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So I always like in a startup, it's a little bit like a video game. And so you keep leveling up, and, we've leveled up. I mean, obviously, like you said earlier, like significantly, but we haven't won yet. And I think that that's one of the things that's so intoxicating in a good way, and sometimes a terrifying way, is the fact that we haven't won anything yet. Legion M is still growing. We're still really early in our cycle. I mean, if you think of how far we come, it's incredible. But when you think of what the potential for where this could go, that's what gets really exciting. And so we're just on hanging on for the ride and hanging on with everything we got.
That's all you can do. And another round, I believe round 9 is currently open. If people are listening right now, what would be the pitch to have people who might be hearing about Legion M for the first time somehow? This is the first time they're hearing about it. What would be the pitch to entice them to want to invest in this current round?
Yeah, well, just you can check it out. Go to legionm.com. First of all, you don't have to invest to get involved with Legion M. And I think a lot of people are naturally suspicious or they're just not sure. And like, we get it. So, you can join Legion M for free as a free member and, get on our list and you'll get invites to all of our events. And there's some things that we reserve only for investors, but there's a lot of stuff that we make available to everyone. It's this idea that at the end of the day, I mean, Legion M boils down to this. As members of the audience, you, myself, all of your listeners, we have all of the power in the industry. Like individually, we're just consumers, and all we can do is we can, choose what we're going to watch. But at the end of the day, collectively, we represent every ticket sale, and we're the ones that buy the tickets and pay the subscriptions and decide what to watch. And so we have enormous power, and Legion M is about uniting fans to harness that power to create the sorts of things that we want to see, but also to own the result and to have a stake in it, and to take yourself from a consumer of entertainment to someone that has a stake in the value of this entertainment. So now that we've gotten, after these, I mean, it's been about 8 years, but now that we've gotten to the point where we are fully producing and owning our films, if one of these films becomes a hit, it can fundamentally change the trajectory of the company. And so this idea of uniting fans to create this company, to own the content and to have, but then also giving them a stake in the process, that's what's really cool, because, it's not a Kickstarter where we're asking you to donate and back something just to be a part of it. If Legion M never succeeds, then that's all that you'll get out of it, is the fact that, yes, I was a part of this movie. My name's in the credit of this movie and that sort of stuff. But if Legion M does go on to succeed, you own a stake in it. And, I think that that's a fundamental difference that's really powerful, because the more excited our community is and the more they come out to support the films, the more successful the films are. And then that benefits all of the shareholders of the company. And so it's a wonderful virtuous circle.
And again, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking with Jeff Annison, co-founder of Legion M. Are you okay to stick with me for just one quick commercial break, Jeff?
Of course.
All right, if you stick around, then we're going to come back up. You just got a couple more questions. If you've got a question for Jeff before we let him go, you can text us on the KTRS text lines at 84126. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550. Please stand by.
Hi, I'm Joe Dante. You might know me from Gremlins or other things, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
We are back. Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. If you missed our interview with Joe Dante or one of our other interviews, you can go to geektomeradio.com, click on the links there. You can check out all of our past shows. We just had our 400th episode earlier this month where we announced our big upcoming Comic-Con, Two Rivers Comic-Con, coming to historic St. Charles in Memorial Day of 2025. We'll have more details as that rolls on. And remember, next Sunday, we've got my interview with Adrienne Barbeau. So that is my Easter gift to all of you, an interview with her, talking about The Fog, talking about her days on Broadway as Rizzo, talking about whether or not she was ever offered a James Bond role. We'll get into all that, so make sure you tune in next Sunday for my interview with her. Right now, we've got Legion M co-founder Jeff Annison on. I wanted to ask you, Jeff, just for the couple minutes I've got left, I know we talked about some of the perks, some of the things that are available for members, and one of the coolest things that I've never had the chance to do yet because scheduling conflicts always come up, but you can have members be film scouts at some of these events and festivals. Talk about that for a minute if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. So it all started when Legion M, we were at Sundance Film Festival, and this was probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe. And if you've ever been to one of those festivals, first of all, Sundance and South by Southwest and a lot of these festivals serve two purposes. One is they're a festival where if you're just a fan of films, you can go and watch amazing films and a lot of amazing premieres. But they also have marketplaces. And so a lot of times what happens is a movie premieres at one of these festivals, and out in the audience are buyers from prospective distributors. It could be everything from Netflix to Sony to Amazon or whatever. And so, as a filmmaker, you are premiering for the first time to these buyers, and what your hope is that out in the audience, some of them are interested, and some of them reach out to you afterwards, and you get into, what you really hope is that 3 or 4 of them reach out to you afterwards, and then you get into a huge bidding war. But ultimately, so those sorts of things happen at these festivals. And we were there, and, one of the hugely challenging things at a festival like that is the fact there's so many films, and, how do you figure out, how do you even figure out what's worth watching? There's 120 films premiering, and, how do you're going to be able to watch 6, and how do you figure out what those are? And even if I go watch one of those films, now you've got one opinion, my opinion, but what does that tell you? And so what we did was we created this app, it's a game called Film Scout that allows all of our community to evaluate these films with us. And so we start off by anybody from anywhere in the world can log in, and you can see, okay, these are the films that are playing. We set it up as a game, and I'm not going to get into how it works, but effectively what you're doing is rating and evaluating and tell us which of the films you're interested in. But you're also doing something else that's very important, which is you are predicting which films you think everybody else is going to like. And so all of the questions about what do you like and which film do you like better and so on and so forth, those are your opinions, and that's data that comes into our system that allows us to make better decisions about the films that we're looking at. But your predictions are something that we can grade. And so at the end of the festival, we have a leaderboard that we release that shows you how you stacked up as a film scout compared to every other film scout that's playing in the system. And so it's a wonderful way for us to, like I said, harness the power of our community to make better decisions, to get data that other companies don't have on which of these films should be interesting and which we might want to get it considered in, and what does the public think of it. But it's also a way to open the gates of Hollywood and allow people to have a role in this. And what we do is the top 5% of our scouts at a given festival get invited to join our Elite Scout program. And then, when we've got, say, a screener for a movie, something that we're evaluating, and we can't send it to thousands of people, but we can send it to 10 or 20, we'll choose some of our Elite Scouts because these are people that have demonstrated an ability to predict what the larger group will think. So it's all part of this idea of trying to harness the one thing that makes Legion M unique, and that's the fact that we're owned by fans.
It's just absolutely brilliant. And like I said, it's on my bucket list. I keep telling myself one day I'll have more time and I can go to Sundance. I'm looking forward to doing that. It'd be so much fun to do. And before I let you go, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I am a history buff, and I've been curious because ever since it was been announced, I've loved that you guys are doing the Robert Small story. Talk about Defiant for just a minute, if you could.
Absolutely. Well, this is arguably one of the biggest swings that Legion M is taking, meaning it's an extremely ambitious project for a lot of reasons. The budget, the weight of history that we feel to tell the story, how excited people are about it, and so on. But, for any of your listeners who are not familiar, Robert Smalls is a real-life person, and this is his story that most people don't know. But he was an enslaved harbor pilot. He was born a slave back, and during the Civil War, he was forced to, move ships around Charleston Harbor in Charleston, South Carolina. And he was very good at it. He was a harbor pilot. Harbor pilot is when a ship comes into, the harbor, the captain will step aside and the harbor pilot takes over. So the captain's standing right next to him, but the harbor pilot is the one that knows the local currents and where the hazards are and how to navigate that particular harbor. And so he was extremely good at it, and he was moving Confederate warships around. And one night, he and a group of the other enslaved crewmates on the ship stole a 140-foot Confederate gunship. and made a desperate race to freedom. They had to get past, it was something like 10 or 11 Confederate checkpoints with, hundreds and hundreds of cannons and, all of the defense system set up for the Confederacy so they could try and reach the mouth of the harbor where there was a Union blockade. And then when they got to the mouth of the harbor where there was a Union blockade, they had to somehow communicate that they were not coming in as a hostile Confederate warship, but they were actually trying to flee. And it's this amazing, remarkable, entirely true story that so few people are familiar with. And, it starts with that, but amazingly enough, it just gets better. After all of this happened, he became a hero of the North, and he met with Abraham Lincoln and helped convince Abraham Lincoln to allow black soldiers to fight in the Union Army, which was a very controversial matter at the time because there were a number of border states that might join the Confederacy if it happened. And then he went on a recruiting tour and helped recruit 5,000 black soldiers to join the Army. And a lot of historians believe was a critical element of, what ended up going down and winning the war for the Union. After that, they made him the captain of the ship that he stole. He fought in 17 battles for the Union Army. And then after that, he went back and became a congressperson and was responsible for developing a railroad and the first compulsory public education system in the state of, it all started in the state of South Carolina, our whole public school system. He bought the plantation where he grew up as a slave. He bought it and owned it and moved into the master's house and as the master of his domain. And the really beautiful, the cherry on top is at the very end, or at some point after he had moved back into his old master's house, the widow of his former master came back to the house, and she had dementia, and she just, she was old, she was completely destitute, and she thought that she still lived there. And Robert Smalls and his family took her in and cared for her until the end of her days in this just gesture of unimaginable generosity and charity on their part to do that after everything that had happened. And so it's this wonderful, amazing story. And I'm not doing it justice at all in my retelling of it, but it's a story that needs to be told. And so we partnered with some amazing screenwriters, and we're working on a comic book. Rob Edwards, who wrote Princess and the Frog for Disney and Treasure Planet for Disney, has created a comic book, and we've got some amazing illustrators. And our mission is to bring that story to the big screen. And so we're starting off. The great thing about a comic book is that it's like the first draft of storyboards for a movie. And so that's where we're starting, and we are not going to stop until we can make it happen.
Like I said, as a history buff, I was so excited to hear that was announced, and it's I can't wait to see it. And I keep seeing how you had the original backing where people could get the graphic novel and things like that. So it's always so cool to see the stuff that Legion M is bringing. Each time I get an email update, I get excited from Legion M, or every time I see you guys doing an event. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time to come on my show tonight and kind of give an update, as it were. And for people out there who want to keep up more, legionm.com. And then you guys are active on social media too, yes?
Yes, it's Legion M Official, and that's across pretty much everywhere.
So Instagram, Twitter, all the good ones there. And, so like I said, if you're listening right now, I've been an investor since the first round, and I've done round 3, round 5. It's kind of weird. I just okay, it's been good luck, so I'll just keep it with the odd number rounds. So if you'd like to join me in investing in the 9th round, head over to legionm.com, and it's really a cool thing to be a part of. Jeff Annison, thank you so much for your time on a Sunday evening to come on here and talk about what's going on.
Thank you for having me, James. I always love being on the show.
I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your night.
You too. Take care.
There he goes. It's such a cool thing. And if you're a fan, if you love movies, if you like all the stuff you just heard, make sure to check it out again, legionm.com. So much fun. And I'm so glad that we were able to talk about it and tell you all the cool stuff that's going on. We're going to take another quick commercial break. We're going to come right back in just a moment. We'll be talking reviews of Roadhouse and Ghostbusters with my friend Janelle Brimer. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Please stand by.
This is John Glenn, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
We are back. Bringing you back with some 80s stuff, because evidently the 80s are big. We're going to be reviewing Roadhouse and Ghostbusters. Once again, it's like 1989 all over again with my friend Janelle Brimer. But first, we want to make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. You know the website, Discover St. Charles, discoverstcharles.com. A lot of cool stuff going on down there all the time. When the weather starts to get nicer like it did today, it was a little cool in the beginning, but kind of warmed up, and you get out in the sunshine, and you just want to be outdoors. City of St. Charles is a great place to go explore. Lots of cool things to see. You can go rock climbing at Climb So Ill. They have an indoor rock climbing place. You can go run around Frontier Park. You can bike ride the Katy Trail. You just want to go outside and enjoy a nice patio for lunch. There's lots of places like Magpies, Salt and Smoke, a lot of places to eat out there, and of course the shopping's always great. All these small businesses up and down North and South Main, and in this economy it's always very important to support small businesses. If you've not been there lately, there's probably a brand new store like the anime store that just opened up right across from Riverside Suites. There's always something new down there to see, always something cool. Just walk around in the morning, grab yourself a Macron and a flavored coffee from Sugar and Slice, and walk around. Check out the new store Chuck and Lou. If you're a St. Louis, St. Charles fan, they got a lot of cool stuff in there. Always something cool to see, always something fun to do, be it one of their special festivals that's going on or just an everyday, just kind of let's get out and have some fun. Start your trip at the website, discoverstcharles.com. The website again, discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. Speaking of a good time, it's always a good time to go to the movies. I'm working on my segues, don't at me. And we're talking with my friend Janelle Brimer right now because we've both seen a couple of movies this week. They were interesting. We're talking Roadhouse and Ghostbusters like it's 1989 all over again. Janelle, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Boy, it's...
Yeah.
Which one, as my guest, which one of these movies would you like to start with?
I think probably, I think the easiest is probably Ghostbusters, right?
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
it's pretty much on its face. It's pretty simple. It's a Ghostbusters movie. It is definitely not the experience that Roadhouse.
An experience is a good way to put it. So we'll start with Ghostbusters. I still think of all the movies that have come out, including the sequel from 1989, the 2016 all-female cast, or if it was just the last one that came out a couple of years ago with this new cast we currently see, nothing has topped the original 1984 for me, and I don't think that anything ever will.
It's pretty perfect. It's pretty perfect. Everything else has been a version of the first one, so you automatically know that the first one is topped because if everything else is trying to emulate it, then the first one is pretty much the cookie cutter.
Yeah, and as far as likability though, this last one was probably I didn't have any major complaints about this new one.
No, I would say, I think it was definitely, the formula of Ghostbusters. It's Ghostbusters sticks to what it knows best and what it does best. I would say this one is probably compared to the one previous year, what was it called? Afterlife. Yeah. Ghostbusters Afterlife. I would say this one is pretty much, a little bit, I felt heavier on the relationship between the old and the new, whereas there was a lot of talk about maybe what the bad spirit they were going to come across, but it seemed a little bit kind of in the background. It didn't seem like that was the main focus of the film because I felt like it. I don't know. Did you feel the same way? Like the baddie wasn't like outside. You didn't really feel like New York was in danger.
In this one or the last one, you mean?
This one this year. Like, I didn't feel like because I guess because of where the battle took place, like, you know, if you think about the 1984 one, like everybody in New York was in danger from, you know, the Stay Puft Marshmallow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
you know, like he's crawling through the street.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, like, you know, like he's stomping his way through the streets. This one, you know, like you did see the freeze happen, but I don't know. I just don't feel like it. But I think that was more because I think the more the focus was on, you know, the old with the new.
Yeah, I think they did a great job of incorporating the new cast with the old one. I felt that was pretty seamless. Like a lot of times you've got your scenes with the old cast, your scenes with the new cast, and there's a friction. This felt very seamless. They were welcoming the advice and help of the original cast members. It was a nice handoff of the baton, I guess, is the best way to say it without being too cliche. But I think that, you know, between the lion and again, some mild spoilers, between the lion coming to life and things like that, I love the callbacks to the original, like the ghost in the library with Dan Aykroyd.
Right. A lot of nostalgia in this one. A lot of it. A lot of callbacks. Yes,
and I thought the ghost, the main antagonist ghost, was proper scary. I thought it was like, oh, that's actually kind of horrifying looking. If I saw that floating down the street, I'd be alarmed.
Correct. Yeah. No, I don't take anything away from it. I think they did a good job as far as the visuals, as far as, you know, the ghost that they were fighting at the end. It was just, I felt like there was a lot of build up to it for what, you know, what you ended up with. But I think it was so heavy, and I don't mean this I don't think this was detrimental to the film, but it was very heavy on like fan service to those of us who enjoyed the one from 40 years ago. Like it was very, very heavy on that. And like I said, that does not take away from the film at all. I don't feel like that was I don't feel like it was a gimmick. It was very much just showing like, hey, you know, like we are acknowledging that, you know, the Ghostbusters had a cereal, that Ghostbusters had toys.
And the toys. I love that. When they're showing all the nostalgia of the toys and the toy of the firehouse that Kennard put out back in the day, which I never had, unfortunately. But I enjoyed that little nod to it. And I think for some reason, and you can correct me if you feel differently, because I always like different opinions, I feel like the term fan service is almost like an insult these days, and I don't think it should be, because the idea of these companies is they want to make money, so why would you push away the fans? You want some fan service while still incorporating new elements, which I think this one did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the reason I was like trying, like, I don't want people to think that when I say fan service that it was like dismissing the movie at all, or like it was bringing it down a notch. Like, I really do think they did it well. It showed respect to the original characters. It showed, I mean, like, again, like you said, there wasn't any friction. It was like the new cast acknowledging, hey, you guys are the pioneers on this, and we're listening to everything you have to say, and we need to know all these things, and you're bringing knowledge to us, and we only welcome you with this. And the older group very much saying, you know, like acknowledging, you know, we need younger bodies doing this, you know, like fighting the good fight. So, yeah, I don't want it to sound like that was detrimental to the movie. It was a great mix of that. And I think that's what actually the main plot of that movie was. I feel like that was the main theme of that movie, was the old and the new together and mixing very well.
And I love that they brought back William Atherton as Walter Peck, probably one of the most punchable people in all of film history. Now he's the mayor of New York. So I love the fact that they brought him in. It's another one of those little Easter eggs. One of the things I enjoyed, and I saw some people on social media kind of disagreeing with me, not knowing they were disagreeing, but Kumail Nanjiani's character, which I thought he was great. I thought he was this movie's Rick Moranis character, and people were like, he did not need to be in the movie. He almost ruined the movie for me. I disagree. That's like saying you didn't need Rick Moranis in the original Ghostbusters. I enjoyed Kumail's appearance in this and his character. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think he was your Rick Moranis character. I think he was there for comedic relief. I think he was, you need, because again, we don't want to give spoilers on it, but there were ties to the little girl that kind of, there were outside influences and factors and casts around going on that, brought you to the conclusion of this movie. And I do believe, he was just, and he played so well with, I believe, what's his name? I'm going to so butcher his name. Is it Wolf?
Finn Wolfhard?
Yes.
Yeah.
He played so well with him.
Yeah.
they were great. The chemistry was just so good.
Yeah. I thought the plot was fairly coherent. Like the plot of Ghostbusters 2, again from 1989, little weak.
Right.
But I thought this plot was very solid. They had their MacGuffin item. They explained the lore of it well, I thought. The opening scene where it kind of flashes back to the last time this particular spirit was active was really cool and kind of set the stage for the movie. So I really don't have much to complain about.
No, it is. And again, when I hate to say things like it was your pretty typical Ghostbusters movie. Again, it's not that. Ghostbusters is great. Ghostbusters is fun. It's, what to expect when you go into seeing them. Like it really, you really wouldn't want to be too surprised about what you're going to see when you see a Ghostbusters movie. So the fact that it follows a formula isn't terrible. It's what we enjoy about it. Again, they all pale in comparison to the one 40 years ago, but that doesn't mean that the formula doesn't work. You stay, you keep the date that you went to the dance with, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree. I think it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. So overall, we would both say recommend seeing Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in theaters, right? Yeah. And if you can in IMAX, definitely see it in IMAX. Yeah. Certain movies are just made for that, and I think especially a special effects laden one like this definitely deserves the IMAX treatment. Yeah, and see it a few times because there's so many Easter eggs. There are to the 40-year to the 40-year anniversary. I mean, there's just so many in there. Just see it again and again. You'll pick up on so many of them. Yeah. Again, great cast. I think there were a few little missteps that I would have done different. It could have been shortened a little bit. But overall, I think I'd have to give it, if I had to rate it, I'd say 7 out of 10. What about you? Oh yeah. I definitely think it's in the 7, 7.5, 8 mark. It's pretty. Again, it's exactly what you expect, but in a good way. There you go. We're going to take a really quick break before we start our review of Roadhouse. So stand by. We'll come right back. I've got Janelle Brimer. We're talking about movies tonight. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to the show, Geek to Me Radio. I'm your host, James Enstall. Since we have Batman bringing us back, I have to make sure I tell you about our official comic book sponsor, which is, of course, Bugs Comics and Games. If you are looking for some place to get your comic books, maybe you are checking out some of these movies, maybe you want to find out some more, hey, didn't Star Wars have a bunch of comics? Yeah, they're from Dark Horse, and they were really good. If you're looking for back issues, if you're looking for new comics, Marvel Comics has actually got a great line of Star Wars comics out right now, too. So whether you're looking for new stuff, old stuff, check out Bugs Comics and Games. You can go to facebook.com/Bugs Comics and Games. Give their page a like. You can send Larry, the owner, an email or message right from Facebook. You can also like them on Instagram, Bugs Comics AND Games. He's got stuff up there for sale. If you're not in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, and you're like, I wish I could find this, check out his Instagram page. Follow him there because he's always putting new stuff up there, and you can buy it right from his Instagram page. He'll ship it securely and quickly right to your doorstep. It's like Christmas arriving in the mail. Whether you're wanting new comics, old comics, toys, games, what you need to do is join the Avengers Club. That way you can start saving money on all these things. You're back rags, your boards, whatever it is, while you enjoy your hobby. Larry's very knowledgeable, so if you have a question about comic books, if you're looking to divest yourself, maybe it's time, I've got so many comics and I just don't know what to do with them anymore, give Larry a call because he's always buying, which makes me happy because every time I go in the store, there's new comics to look through. So it's a win-win-win. Check him out, Bugs Comics and Games on Facebook. You can also obviously get them on Instagram, Bugs Comics and Games. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio as we're chatting movies with Janelle Brimer. Before I forget, Janelle, because sometimes I do, you do movies all the time. You're very active on social media with your reviews. Where can people find you online so they can see what you do?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Holy_L. That's HOLY_ELLE. That's Twitter and Instagram like that. And then I'm on TikTok at _HolyL. So I do my reviews on there, and I try to keep them pretty much up to date as we see screenings. But boy, I tell you, sometimes we see so many a week.
Yeah. It's I don't see as many as you do, so I'm not sure how you keep it going. But one of the ones that we did see was Roadhouse. This is obviously, I don't want to even say a remake of the 1989 Patrick Swayze one, which as a guy, Roadhouse, that movie, I don't know how many times I've watched it. It's got Patrick Swayze, Sam Elliott, Ben Gazzara as the bad guy. Jeff Healey is actually playing in the band as the band at the Roadhouse. A great cast. Keith David's in the movie, for crying out loud. This is not a remake of that movie. So if you're a fan of Roadhouse, it's basically the name only and the name of the main character, Dalton.
Well, I mean, it's the same. I mean, it's the same. It's a bad remake.
Okay. I'll grant
we'll put it that way,
okay.
because I mean, it's still he's a bouncer who's asked to come in to clean up a bar, and he comes across the big baddie who is destroying the town. He falls in love with somebody in the medical profession. It is that, now again, bad remake. But yeah, no, they do not, they like how Ghostbusters did great fan service. This one did no service to anybody.
Yeah, literally the only Easter egg I saw was there is some kind of a bar or store next to the bookstore that Dalton arrives at called Double Deuce. That was it.
Yep. Yeah, they did have the Double Deuce. It was, yeah, and you could tell that Conor McGregor's character was, I forgot who Ben Gazzara's henchman was, the one who in the original, I guess we don't know if we have to still say spoiler alert, but the one who Patrick Swayze rips out his throat.
Yeah.
And I guess Conor McGregor's kind of playing that guy, the nutty,
to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the bad guy does throw a spear at him at the end, much like mimicking the first one.
Right.
It is a movie, which again, when you start this movie, it's kind of dark. I mean, yes, you do have bad CGI fight scene with Post Malone, but after the exchange with the bar owner, I believe her name is Frankie. I believe in the first movie it was Frank. This one, she's Frankie. After his exchange with her, there is something a little dark that happens, and you think, oh, okay, they're going to take this remake and they're going to slice the cheese off of it, which again, not a bad thing. All 80s movies had a certain level of cheese to them, but you think, oh, okay, they're going to go dark on this, and then they just do not. And it just gets more ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about this at Ghostbusters. We were chatting, and I said, no one watches Roadhouse, the original, for the plot. It's the cool fight scenes. It's the it's the dancing and things like that you see with the girls on the tables. But this one, the plot was paper thin, because I remember we were watching it. And the whole time, obviously, like you said, the bad guy, played by Billy Magnuson, is trying to take over this bit of land so he can make the entire beachfront for this massive property he wants to put in. Just this little holdout is after him. So literally, it's the plot of Herbie Rides Again, and we've swapped out Alonzo Keene as the bad guy. But that's the whole plot. And I think towards the end of the movie, Billy Magnuson says, well, I'm just going to go ahead and burn the place down. I leaned to my friend. I said, you could have saved us 2 hours of this movie. if you just burned it. I mean, there was no point. I mean, this guy, you know, obviously the cops were working with him. They didn't care.
Right.
It felt like an exercise in futility between AI generated fight scenes.
Yeah, it was very bizarre because, like I said, it really did have a chance to be like, okay, we're gonna dig deeper into Dalton, and I mean, because you did get like you in the Swayze version, you got like, okay, yeah, he's haunted by something, you know, that's the reason Sam Elliott kind of comes. He's kind of talking him through his demons, but in this one, again, it gets a little, you know, there's a little dark scene at the beginning. And then, like, it alludes to that he just can't control his temper, but you literally don't care why, because like they don't really ever explain it, or it's, you know, it's just so I just don't understand. I mean, I wanted it to not be a money grab because I feel like that's what a lot of times remakes are, but I don't understand the purpose of it.
Yeah,
you do get a lot of laughs, though.
And I said, members of the cast were enjoyable. Daniela Melchior, who I loved in The Suicide Squad as Ratcatcher, I thought she was pleasant enough. Nothing stand out. Conor McGregor chewed the scenery. I thought he was just joie de vivre incarnate. I mean, he just looked like he was having the best time. And Jake Gyllenhaal was great. I thought it was a very good performance from Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Sure. Yeah. No, like I said the night that we were talking about this movie, is the reason Conor McGregor is so amusing in this movie is because you're never quite sure if he knows a movie is being filmed. Like he's just off the rails. You don't know if like they had to reel him back in and be like, "Ooh, Conor, remember movie, you know, like cut, let's do this again." You really don't have to beat Jake Gyllenhaal to a pulp. Like he seems like it could have been a Tuesday. Yeah. He could have been on the set. You have no idea. He's definitely got that Gary Busey, right, I wonder if he's really acting kind of vibe going on, but it at least makes it entertaining. But there are some very, very bizarre Fast and Furious sequences in this movie that kind of just take you out of what you're watching. And we were talking about this. I mean, you made me laugh super hard before Ghostbusters because I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there is a part where the bad guy he should have been dead.
Yeah, that's right.
He should have been dead at this particular scene. And I believe your statement was, I can't believe him hitting his face on the stairs hurt more.
Right. He seems more you broke my nose. It's like you just flew through the air into a building. I mean, this was some like Face-Off level, you know, over the top scenes of violence and destruction that should have been like, that should be the end for you, but nope, getting bopped on the nose when your head hit the floor, that seemed to send you into more of a panic. But then I saw Joel Silver's name in the credits. I'm like, oh, that explains a lot of it. Because this had a very 90s, like I said, Face-Off is a good one I can relate it to, because some of that stuff's like, oh, come on, these guys are dead. There's no way. But
exactly. There were a lot of, and it was a very weird choice to have the sound of the punches. Like the punches were very, very like it was. I unfortunately watched it again. For reviewing purposes, and the sound for like the punches and the kicks that was very, very strange. It's just some of the lines are very, very bizarre. The one where he's like, this piano sounds out of tune. It's just a lot of choices were made in this movie. I feel like they really did kind of miss an opportunity to bring back Post Malone as maybe the Sam Elliott character, and have him like somebody from his past be with him, kind of trying to work through his demons, I suppose.
Or just a Sam Elliott cameo would have been, come on.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Just passing by. I mean, if you're going to have a father and a daughter that really don't play into the plot very much. Like you could have had one of those roles be Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
You know, it was like I said, it was a lot of interesting choices made for the movie. They felt like very different movies all at different times.
Yeah. I appreciate you joining me on a Sunday. The hour flies by every single time, but remind people one more time before you go, if they want to find more about you, find your movie reviews, where can they keep up with you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at HOLY_ELLE. That's holy_L. And on TikTok, I'm at the_holyL, all one word. So, yeah, that's where I can find you. It's always such a good time when we talk movies.
I know. I really appreciate you doing this and helping me review things, because I just like sometimes to talk to other people about it and kind of bounce it out there rather than just monologue about movies. So thank you, Janelle, very much, and I'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, I'll see you too.
All right,
Bye.
Take care. There she goes. Make sure you check her out on the social media handles. That's a lot of fun. She does a really great job with her insights and everything, too. Thank you to both Janelle for being on. Thank you to Jeff Annison from Legion M. Make sure you check them out, legionm.com. Thank you to Bugs Comics and Games and the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau, Discover St. Charles, for sponsoring this show and helping me stay on the air. Thank you to all of you for listening. Thank you to Joey B., my executive producer, for making the show sound as good as it does. And we will see you next week. Until then, my friends.
That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Glass Key, Florida. Good night.